A lot happened, but also nothing happened at all. This book has been on my TBR, I kid you not, since I read the first book in like 2018. Santi ends up finding her where he thinks that she is like trespassing on his property, which I mean technically she was. Hey everyone, it's me Bailey and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be continuing some series that I'm in the middle of. So I noticed that there were quite a few sequels on my TBR for this month, so I decided why not knock out my TBR and continue some series while I'm at it. So I'm going to be reading 4 books in this video. I am either on the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th book in a series. In some instances, I will be completing the series in total, which will be really awesome and fun. But I don't have a particular order that I'm going to be going in or anything like that. But I have already picked up the first book that I'm going to be continuing the series of. And this is one that is a TBR vet. This book has been on my TBR, I kid you not, since I read the first book in like 2019 time frame, like right when I started booktube. Like I want to say I was reading the first book in the series when I created my first booktube video, which granted that video has since been privated because that does not need to be seen by anyone on the internet who did not see it the first time around. So that video has since been privated, and I have since reread that first book a couple of years ago, back in like 2022 time frame. I think I read it back in 2022, and so I am now getting around to the next book in the series, and that is God's Grave by J. Kristoff. This, of course, is the 2nd book in the Nevernight Chronicle. This is a trilogy, and I have read Nevernight twice at this point. I really enjoyed Nevernight. I gave it 5 stars. Like, that book was so good to me, and so I am finally moving on to the sequel. So this is the book that I'm going to be starting with in this video. So I am around the 19 page mark. I started listening to the audiobook of this today a little bit while I was at work, and now I'm home, so I'm planning on sitting down and reading some more of this evening. If you don't know, this is a fantasy series. The first book is called Nevernight, and we are following Mia Corbett, and she has decided that she wants to become an assassin. So she goes to this place called the Red Church, which is essentially a school for how to become an assassin. And so we're following Mia as she is going through this schooling on learning how to become an assassin, going through these trials and trying to essentially just survive and make it out. And now we're in book 2, following the events of book 1. Of course, at this point she is done with her schooling, so essentially the first book is her going to the Red Church and learning how to become an assassin, and then everything that transpires in that. And then this follows Mia after the events of Nevernight. So she no longer attends the Red Church. I don't want to say like whether or not she passes or fails or anything like that. Like, I don't want to spoil any of that as far as what's happening in this book, but this does start to take place after the events of everything that happens. So she has gained the knowledge of what it takes to be an assassin from the Red Church, and we're just following her now. So obviously I think there is like an overarching storyline, big point eventually that will be revealed, so I'm definitely interested to see if I'm going to want to continue on with the 3rd book. But I have decided to pick this up. It has been 3 years coming, so time for me to finally bite the bullet and read this. So I'm super excited to start this. So far I haven't really remembered too much about what happened in Nevernight, but if I were to read Nevernight, like, I would remember everything. Like, I feel like when it comes to me rereading books, like, I start to remember things as I'm like rereading them. I'm like, okay, then doesn't this happen? And oh, I remember this happening. Like, it comes back to me as I'm reading. So I think it was very helpful that J. Kristoff did kind of give us like a recap of who everyone is and what happened to them in the first book and like where they're at and what we learned about them from the first book. So I did read that, and that has been very, very helpful. But now I will be going to sit down and read some more of this. The pages on these is so discolored because that is literally how long I've had this book. Like, this book has been with me for a hot minute. So I'm happy to finally be reading it and finally checking it off my TBR. So with that being said, I'm gonna go sit down. I'm going to read this for a little bit, and I will update you guys once I have some thoughts and feelings on God's Grave. Now about 50% into God's Grave, and I wanted to give an update on how I'm liking it so far and like how I'm feeling about what's happening in the story. So obviously we are following Mia Corvair, and she is an assassin, and she has gone to the Red Church. Like, we've already talked about this. So now we're following the events of everything that's happened after she has left the Red Church. And this book is told kind of in like two storylines. So you have Mia, and she is kind of working with an unexpected ally, and then you also have her on this mission. So she is on a mission undercover at like a slave house type situation where she is learning to fight. Like, it's essentially like a fighting ring situation that she is a part of, and she is also working with her unexpected ally to make a dent in some of the things that are going on in society and some of the people that are in charge in this like government system. And so far, like, the writing is still everything that I remember. Like, Jay Kristoff's writing is so him that it's like you can't really forget like his writing style. Like, it's very unique to him, and for the most part, like, I'm enjoying the writing style. I really enjoy that the narrator is very sarcastic, like when talking about Mia, and as well as like Mr. Kindly. Like, Mr. Kindly is probably my favorite character in this book because he is literally so funny. He's so sarcastic. Like, he is on Mia's head constantly, and I am loving it. Like, I'm living for it. Like, I eat it up every time. And so I just absolutely am obsessed with their dynamic. But I will say, so it started out kind of in like a past and present situation to kind of put together the pieces of how we got to where we are now. And as you guys know, or like if you've been here for a while, you'll know that I don't generally love stories that have two timelines. I don't like stories with past and present situations, especially when it comes to the same character. Now, if it's like timelines, two different timelines following like different characters, I'm usually pretty okay with that. But as far as like past and present, like, I just don't generally love that in my books. And so since a majority of the first part of this book is that, it was a little bit hard to kind of want to continue to read and like go on with the story, but I am going to continue. Obviously, I don't know if I'm going to read the third book. I did spoil this, not recently, but I do remember a main plot point that is going to happen at the end of this book. Now, I don't know like how we get there or anything like that, but I do know that we see someone that we're not supposed to be seeing. So in like the vaguest way possible, like, we see someone that we're not supposed to see. So I know that that happens. Now, how we get there, I have no idea, like anything like that. So depending on what leads up to that portion of the book will determine whether or not I decide to read book 3. But overall, I'm enjoying it all right. Like, I'm not liking it as much as I liked Nevernight, but I feel like it is pretty good. Like, there's action in here. There's a lot of like fighting, and like we've gotten a lot of new characters, which has been interesting. And I don't know, like, I'm having a good time, but like, it's not my favorite thing that I've ever read ever. So I don't know, I'm gonna keep going. I'm definitely having plans to read some more of this tonight. It has been raining here at my house today. Like, it was so crazy because I was at work and it was dry, and then get home and it's like pouring down. And so it has been thundering and lightning over the past little bit. So I definitely have plans to kind of wind down and sit down and read for the rest of the evening. So this is my last full week not being in school, so of my like summer break. So I am hoping to do quite a bit of reading this week. So that's where I'm at. And yeah, I want to be able to make a pretty big dent in this book. Like I mentioned, I'm around halfway. I would like to get at least another 100 pages read in this. I would at least like to get around 75% if I can. I at least want to make it to book 3. So that is going to be like my little mini reading goal for the night. That's like right under 100 pages. It would be like 95 pages to get to book 3. So that is what I'm aiming for. So now I'm going to probably start winding down to get comfortable and like get ready for bed essentially, and just maybe possibly do some editing. I was doing a little bit of rough cutting earlier, so might continue doing that. I'm definitely about to go take a shower and put on some pajamas, and we'll see like how the rest of the night goes. So I'm gonna feed Navy because he is looking at me like, girl, you know what time it is. And so I am going to go feed him, and I will talk to you guys soon. I don't know when the next time I'll talk to you is. Probably once I finish God's Grave. It's been a couple days since I last talked to you guys, and I wanted to give an update on God's Grave. I'm deciding to give my update now on God's Grave because I am about 85% into this book. I have probably, less than 100. I know for a fact that I have less than 100 pages. Honestly, it's probably around like 50-ish, 50, 60 pages left in this book, and I'm planning to finish this while I'm at work today. I will be listening to the audiobook while I'm working. So I wanted to go ahead and let you guys know that like I will be finishing this today, so that way like when I get home later I can just be like, hey, yeah, I finished it. And then I do have plans to start the next book that I'm reading for this video today. So I'm thinking that I'm probably going to end up starting Redeemed by Lauren Asher, which is the 4th book in the Dirty Air series. It is a romance series of interconnected standalones that is based around a group of F1 racers. And I know that we're following Santi in this 4th book. I cannot remember because it has been so long since I've like read the rest of the books. Like I cannot remember who he ends up with. Like I know that he is the brother of one of the girls who is dating a different player, and I think she's like the first female main character of the series. Like it's been so long since I've read the series that like I literally do not remember, but I am excited about Santi's book. It's just been so long since I've read the series, so hopefully I can like remember who everyone is and like kind of like jump back in and just be like fine. But I did want to give that update really quickly. I am about to pack my lunch really quickly so that way I can head out. Like I am about to head out in the next like 5-10-ish minutes, so I'm going to do that really quickly. And yeah, so I wanted to go ahead and give that update, let you guys know that I will be finishing God's Grave at some point today. So I'm not going to be able to give you like my reactions right away. Like obviously I'll have to like kind of tell you guys a little bit later like what my thoughts were, but for the most part, like I feel like I'm probably gonna give this book maybe like a 3 or a 4 star. Like like a 3 or a 4 star. Like I don't like this one like I liked Nevernight, and I'm not sure if I will continue with the third book. And if I do decide to continue with the third book, I don't know if I will purchase it. Like I think I'll probably just like borrow it from the library or something like that. So yeah, that is my update for now. I'm gonna go get my lunch together and everything like that, and I will talk to you guys again once I am home from work and I have an update on God's Grave and Redeemed. I am now home from work and I have reading updates. So as I mentioned earlier, I did actually end up finishing God's Grave. I decided to give this book 3 stars, I think. Let me double check my rating, but I think I gave it 3 stars. Yeah, so I did end up giving God's Grave 3 stars. I knew that I was probably gonna give it either 3 or 4 stars. I feel like 3 is probably right for this book, especially considering like it has been so long since I read Nevernight, even though I did read it twice, and I feel like I remember for the most part like what happened in it, especially like after the little like recap at the beginning. But I guess I didn't really understand what the point of this book essentially was in Mia's journey, because like her journey's not complete. I don't know, but I guess based on the events of things that happened in this book, I feel like it was also necessary. But I definitely am interested in seeing where the story is going to go, like what happens with Mia and like what she decides to do and how she reacts when she finds out some of the revelations that we as the reader got that she does not know just yet. So that'll be interesting to see. Also when she like finds out about certain characters and like things like that, like I wonder how she's going to feel about that as well. So I'm definitely interested to possibly read book 3. Do I think I'm going to purchase a copy of book 3? I don't think so. If anything, I'll probably just end up picking it up from my library or just like getting the Kindle book of it and reading it eventually, but I definitely will read it at some point. Do I think it'll be immediately? Probably not. I would love to read it before the end of the year. Hopefully maybe during like spooky season time period, the fall, because this book does very much give fall vibes. So there's that. I'm done with this. 3 stars to this, and glad that I have knocked another book off my TBR. And then for my reading update, I did actually start listening to Redeemed by Lauren Asher after I finished God's Grave, and I am really liking this book so far. So this is the 4th book in the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher, of course, and this is the final book in the series, and I made it to page 299, which is in chapter 34. So I am over halfway done with this book. Like I was like really into it. Like I was listening to it every possible second that I could because I'm enjoying this book that much. So we are following Santi, and he is a former F1 racer. We find out in the beginning that he is no longer racing. Like we find out what happens and why his career is over, and we're following him as he's kind of battling depression, and like 3 years later after the events that happen to ruin his career. And we're also following Chloe, and she is just your regular everyday girl. She has 2 jobs. She lives with her best friend. Her mother is, you know, not super great. She is like an addict and just a very toxic like living situation that she was in growing up, but she tries to like not let that define her, and she tries to just like approach every day as like a new day. And so we're following her as she does a DNA test to find her father, and this DNA test leads her to Santi's neighbor. And so Santi ends up finding her where he thinks that she is like trespassing on his property, which I mean technically she was, but during that time she accidentally loses her phone, and so she then breaks into his house the next day to try to get her phone back, where his sister and her husband Noah from the first book end up walking in on her in the house, and Santi ends up lying and says that they are dating and that she is his girlfriend, and they've only met met like twice at this point. So they are now in this like fake relationship, and it essentially is forced proximity because Santi has to watch his nephew for like 2 weeks, and because they think that he is dating Chloe, she ends up coming to like help out. And yeah, so we're following them as they're going on like this adventure, and honestly it's been so fun. And I don't know if it's because like it's been a couple of books since I read a romance book. Like this will have been 2 books, I guess. I don't know, not very much actually, but I just feel like after I get done reading a super intense fantasy and I go back to romance, I just always feel like I enjoy the story so much. But I feel like also too, because this does have like fake dating and forced proximity, which are some of my like favorite tropes. Like, and honestly I definitely prefer marriage of convenience over fake dating, but I have been like wanting to read a marriage of convenience story, and since this is like pretty much close, I feel like I'm really enjoying this. So I'm definitely thinking that I'm probably going to end up finishing this book tonight. So I am probably around 60-ish% into it. So I think I'm going to sit down. It is also on Kindle Unlimited, so I did download it on my Kindle. So I'm probably just going to sit for the rest of the evening and read this book, whether or not that's through my physical book or through my Kindle. But it is like 5:30, so I am going to figure out some dinner, and then I'm going to get to reading, and I will update you guys obviously at the next time I finish this book and what my rating is going to be. I have just finished Redeemed by Lauren Asher, and I really enjoyed this book. I think I'm going to end up rating it 4 stars. This was very good conclusion, I feel like, to the series, and I feel like this wasn't awful, me jumping back into this after so long, because this book does take place a couple of years after the last book in the series, I guess. So this is like 3 years later. I mean, obviously it's like even later than I guess some of the other books, I don't know, but it starts off Santiago's racing, and then obviously something happens, and then we go 3 years into the future, and then that's when this book is set. And I honestly really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the forced proximity. I enjoyed the relationship between Santi and Chloe. I liked the fake dating. I don't know. I just thought that this was really fun, really cute, and I'm happy to have read this and to have finally marked this off of my physical TBR. And I definitely would recommend the Dirty Air series if you have not picked it up. I feel like this was Lauren Asher's first series, and you can definitely tell the way that her writing has grown from this to now. Not that the writing was bad or anything, but I feel like just the way that she writes now, you can just see so much growth in her writing, and so that is definitely interesting to look back on and see. But overall, I enjoyed this, would recommend it if you haven't read the series before. And so now that I am finished with this book, I will be moving on to the next book in a series that I am in the middle of. So that is going to be The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. This is the second book in the Nightborn duet, as well as the Crowns of Nyaxia series. So if you didn't know, the Crowns of Nyaxia is a series of duologies. So this is the second book in the first set of duologies. So this is the book that I will be reading next. I'm super excited to read this. I really enjoyed The Serpent and the Wings of the Night, and the way that that book ended, I'm so interested to see like where we're going to be picking up from here and kind of what we get into with Araya and Rain. So I'm definitely interested to see how that's gonna go and what's going on there. So I am about to start this now. I do only have about an hour until book club, so I'm going to see how much reading I can get done until then. And yeah, I probably won't talk to you guys again today, but I definitely will talk to you guys later once I have some updates on The Ashes of the Star-Cursed King and my progress in this book. wanted to take some time to give my update on The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King so far. So it has been a few days since I last updated, but I have been reading this. I am currently on chapter 39, which is page 312. So I'm like right around 50% into this book. And I will say, I feel like this book is moving a bit slower compared to the first book. I think probably because the first book we're dealing with trials throughout the entire book, because that is literally the whole point. But now it's turned kind of a little bit more into a political style fantasy, which is fine because we're following the after effects of the things that went down during those trials and how the hierarchy has changed and now how there are some new people in charge versus who was previously in charge. And so it is obviously still interesting to read about because we're still following Aurea and we're learning kind of like how she is dealing with a lot of the things that happened after the trials and how it's kind of like messed with her psyche and how she's having nightmares now, and she's just like really just trying to come to terms with what has happened. And so I will say that I am starting to get a little bored with this book because while I am enjoying what is going on, I'm also kind of bored by it because we're following them during this like time. They're doing a little bit of traveling here and there. There's some wars going on, which is fine, but like overall, like it's just kind of like not super interesting to me. Like I'm not vibing really with what's going on. I don't know. It's just like I'm enjoying it, but I'm definitely not liking it as much as I liked the first one. I feel like I'm just really expecting something big to happen, something that is really just going to change the trajectory of the book, and I'm interested to see what that's going to be, if that is a thing that is going to happen. So I don't know, but so far I'm definitely not liking this one as much as I liked the first one, but I will probably finish this here soon. I don't know if I'm going to be finishing this today. I definitely feel like if not today, then more than likely tomorrow. I think I am going to sit down right now and read for a few minutes. I don't see myself reading for very long because I am about to go run some errands and stuff. So just read until I'm ready to leave. But yeah, I don't know. So that's my update right now on this. Yeah, I don't really know how I'm feeling about it. I'm feeling very like middle of the road. So yeah, that's my update and I will talk to you guys again soon. It's been a couple days maybe since I last updated. I feel like I talked to you guys yesterday, but I can't remember. But I did have some reading updates, so I wanted to update that I did in fact finish The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. So I finished this a little bit earlier today, and I've decided to rate this book 3.5 stars. I definitely liked book one better than I liked this one. I will say that the second half of the book really made up for the first half, which to me was a little bit on the slower side, especially considering the romance kind of took a back seat this entire book, just about. So I feel like it was more of a romance in the first book than in this one, which is fine. This one was kind of more of like your war book. In fantasy books that are usually more than one book, there usually is one book that is more like war focused, and this was that, and I enjoyed it for the most part. Like I said, I'm giving it 3.5 stars. I just feel like I liked the first one better, and I had thought maybe this could have been a 4-star, but it just didn't really hit that 4-star mark for me. But I don't know if I'm planning on continuing in the series or not, because obviously it is a series of duologies and this first duology is now complete. But I know that I didn't love Carissa Broadbent's other series, so I just don't know how I'm going to feel about other books in this series. I might try the first book in the next duet because it does follow Misha, and I am definitely interested in who Misha is as a character and what her character arc eventually would be. So if I do end up picking that up, I'm probably just going to read it on Kindle Unlimited if it's on there, and or borrow it from my library, because I don't really see myself buying it unless I really love it. But with that being said, now that I finished this, I will be moving on to the fourth and final book that I'm going to be reading in this video, which is going to be Oathbound by Tracy Deonn. This is the third book in the Legend Born cycle, and I actually did start this today. So I did grab the audiobook from my library, but I only have 3 days left to listen to it, so my goal is to try and get this book read over the next 3 days, because I had borrowed this when there was no line, and now that I've had it, there is now a line behind me, so I cannot renew my hold. I will have to hop back in line. So I want to finish reading this before I have to hop back in line. So that is my goal. Like I said, I was able to read a little bit of this today. So I am currently on page 61, which is the start of chapter 1. And so I know you're probably like, 61 pages in and you're only on chapter 1. Yes, so the first 60 pages was the prologue, which has its own chapters. So this is the first time I've ever seen anything like that done. But yeah, so I am on chapter 1, and so far I am liking it okay. I'm definitely not like vibing with this one just yet as much as I did the first 2 books in the series. So I'm definitely interested to see what I'm going to think as we continue to go on throughout the series. I have forgotten quite a bit of what has happened in the series. It has been over 2 years since I last picked up a book in this series, so I am just trying to kind of catch up and remember who's who and like what exactly is going on and everything like that. But I do have plans to listen to the audiobook this evening. I do need to edit a video, so while I'm working on the rough cut, I am planning on listening to Oathbound while I'm doing that. So that is my plan for this evening, to listen to Oathbound while I edit. So I am going to do that. I'm going to figure out dinner and everything. I did just get home from work, so I will be figuring out all of my evening things and start editing and listening to Oathbound. I have been reading Oathbound today, and I wanted to give my update on this book so far. So I was able to get quite a bit of this listened to on audio today. I am around 50%. I think I'm just right over 50%, like right around 51-ish% into this book. Currently, I'm on page 335, which is the start of chapter 31. And I will say, I am feeling a bit disconnected to this book in a way that I wasn't with the first 2. I honestly loved the first one. I want to say I gave it 5 stars, and the second one I still really enjoyed, even though it wasn't exactly a 5-star read for me. I still gave it like 4 or 4.5 stars. Like, I still enjoyed it, just not as much as the first one. But I feel like the direction that this book is going, I don't really see it. Like, I can't really tell where we're going in this book or with the storyline. And I do kind of hate that everyone is just split up right now. Like, no one is really together. We've got some characters that we met in the last book that I feel like we're getting a lot more of in this book, but I don't really feel like we know them, which, I mean, I guess that was the whole point in like having their point of views in this book, is so that we could get to know them a bit better. But I'm feeling just like a disconnect with the story, and I don't really know if it's because it has been so long since I read the first 2 books, but I'm just not loving what's going on. And Bree's storyline, like I'm just really not interested, and I don't want to say that I don't care about the other characters, but like I feel like I really mainly cared about Bree and her storyline, and since it's going in a direction that I don't really care for, I feel like it's hard for me to want to continue this book, and I feel like it's hard for me to want to continue reading from characters that I barely know. And since all of my like favorites are now separate, like I feel like we're not really getting that almost like found family aspect that we kind of got in the first couple of books. And I feel like especially like in book 2, which, and I mean granted, like with Nick and Sel, of course, like that's kind of like a love triangle, which we're not really seeing that in this book, obviously because everyone is separated. But I feel like that is an element that I'm kind of missing in this book, is that little slither of romance. And I feel like even with like William and Alice and things like that, like since Bree was able to kind of find her core group of friends while being in this space that she's never really had to navigate before, I feel like now she's in a new space that she definitely has never had to navigate before. And so since she is essentially alone in this, I feel like it's just kind of hard for me to want to continue. Like obviously I'm rooting for Bree, like of course I want everything that she goes through to be for the betterment of the story and the plot, and I'm hoping that she's not going through these things that she's having to go through alone just for funsies, right? Like I'm hoping that we get the reason behind the decisions that are being made and the decisions that Bree made in the second book. But I will say the plot is a little fuzzy because it has been so long, so I'm definitely trying not to hold that against this. But I do feel like I remember a pretty decent amount of what happened in the first couple of books, and I feel like because the prologue was so long at the beginning, I feel like Tracy Deonn did do a really good job of kind of giving a recap as to what happened previously. And so yeah, I don't know. I am going to finish this book, of course. Like I am curious, I want to know, but I feel like if my library hold runs out before I finish it, I don't really know how motivated I would be to continue this book. So I don't know, but I am saying all of that, I am still enjoying it. Like I'm not hating it, like I don't hate it, and I'm not like super disinterested in it. Like I'm definitely having a good time reading it. It's just not my favorite in the series, and it's not my favorite thing that I've ever read either. And I don't know if too, because I'm like getting older, it's just getting a little bit harder to kind of relate to characters in young adult books. Like, and obviously this is a fantasy book, so it is a little bit different, but I don't know. I'm just kind of struggling with this one a little bit. I'm enjoying it, but not the same way that I have enjoyed previous books. Like it's kind of feeling like a 3-star at this point in time, but I don't want to say that right now because obviously we still got half the book to go, and whatever happens in the back half could absolutely change my mind and my thoughts, my opinions on how I'm feeling about this first half of the book. So I'm definitely interested to see where things are going to go, and I hope everyone ends up coming back together. But I did want to give that update, and I have started kind of understanding the cover a bit more. Like I'm starting to understand like what's going on with this guy back here and with the like dark purple and the red. And yeah, so I don't know. I did just want to give that update, let you guys know where I was at in Oathbound. I'm definitely going to try and read some more of this tomorrow. I am expecting to have a very busy day at work tomorrow, so I'm not sure how much of this I will be able to get listened to, but because I know that I'm having a busy day tomorrow, I'm definitely probably gonna go get a coffee in the morning, and I definitely have to like pack my lunch because I don't think that I will be able to like not have a packed lunch tomorrow. And yeah, honestly, that is where I'm at. But I don't think I'm gonna read any more tonight. If anything, I might listen to another chapter or two while I'm getting ready to go to bed. But the chapters are a little bit longer sometimes. Like there are some chapters that are really long and then some that are like quite short. So I don't know if I'm gonna listen to any more of this evening. But yeah, I know that I read like around 200-ish pages or so of this today. So I think I'm honestly gonna put it down for the night and then pick it back up tomorrow. And then my loan is due back at the library at like, from Libby, it'll like take the loan back probably around like 12:30-ish. So I want to try and have it finished by 12:30 on Friday. So tomorrow's Thursday, by the way. But yeah, so wanted to give that update, let you guys know where I was at in Oathbound. And yeah, so that is my update, and I will talk to you guys soon. Hi friends, I'm here to give my final update of this vlog. So I was able to finish Oathbound by Tracy Deonn. So my rating for this, I'm feeling like I'm giving it like a 3.5 star. I felt like this book was a filler book. I feel like a lot happened, but also nothing happened at all. So I'm like, I don't know. I just didn't really connect with this one. I didn't really understand or care where the story was kind of going. I feel like this book kind of put me off the series a little bit. Like, I'm not super intrigued to read the next one. Like, if it takes 2 years for the next one to come out, like, I'm not disappointed by that. Like, I'm not upset. I just feel like this book just went in a direction that I wasn't expecting. And I feel like, I know that obviously this is kind of a King Arthur retelling of sorts, and I definitely feel like in this book we kind of lost that part of the plot. Like, I mean, obviously it was mentioned, of course, because that is like essentially the premise of the story, but things kind of really took off in a different direction, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I just don't really know if the way that it's going is for me. I don't know if it's going to be a story that I continue to enjoy or want to read. I will say I did find myself kind of disinterested the further along that we got into the book. Not that I didn't enjoy the book, because I still thought it was like a 3.5 star. Like, I still enjoyed my time reading it. I just felt like there was a lot of times throughout the story where I was just kind of getting a little bit disinterested, right? Because a lot of the time is not necessarily in flashbacks, but like essentially that, because like, oh, this happened 3 months after this event happened, or this happened 5 months after this event happened, and then you don't really get like present day until probably closer to like 75% into the book. Like, you're essentially reading through flashbacks without them really being flashbacks, like, if that makes sense. So I don't know, like, I feel like it was okay. Like, it definitely is my least favorite in the series. I definitely would have to say that book 1 for sure is my favorite in the series, like by a long shot. But I did want to continue the series. I feel like it could go better. Like, I don't know how many more books are going to be. I don't know if there's only going to be 1 more book or there's going to be 2 more books or anything like that. But I definitely feel like the way that Tracy Deonn left this book on a cliffhanger, I feel like there is room for more than 1 more book after this one. I just feel like the way that the story is gone, I feel like it didn't really get concluded. Like, I will say within the first 2 books, I felt like the story was kind of wrapped up, right? Like, we had our main villain, and then we kind of started having like another villain. Like, I guess there's like a different like overarching villain that is like separate from our first villain. But I feel like honestly this could have been a duology or even just like a trilogy if we would have not had 3 600+ page books. And I feel like that is also where my issue kind of lies with this book, is that this book was so long. Like I said, there was a whole lot of things that happened, but also a whole lot of nothing that happened in this book at the same time. And for this book to be over 600 pages, for nothing really to be happening, like obviously they're going around, they're doing things, you're like getting flashbacks of like what happened in the time period between present day towards the end of this book and what happened between the events of the end of last book. And while things are happening, like nothing's happening. Like they're still kind of like recovering from what happened. So like I said, this book just really felt like a filler book, and I don't want to really like dog this book. Like that is not my intent when I'm trying to like talk about this. I'm not trying to be like, oh, this book sucks, this is the worst book I've ever read, because I don't think that that was the case. Like there was still a lot of things about this book that I did enjoy. Like of course I enjoyed Tracy Deonn's writing. Like her writing is so beautiful. Like I just love the way that she writes, the way that she tells stories is so good. But I feel like I just didn't really like Brie all that much in this one, and I feel like that is due to her circumstances. Like it's hard to kind of still connect with her when her circumstances have kind of changed, and I just don't feel like she is the same Brie from the first book, which is really good because obviously that means character growth, and that means that she, you know, has evolved from the very first book. But I have to remember too, like in my brain, like she is a 17-year-old girl, and like she reads very much like a 17-year-old girl, and I just, yeah, I don't know, like I said, if I will continue on with the series. Like I didn't even annotate this book. Like I have annotated the first two books, but I did not annotate this one at all. I just didn't find myself like wanting to, so I didn't. And yeah, so I don't know. Those are my thoughts on Oathbound. Like I said, I'm giving it 3.5 stars. Still a good book, and I still would recommend the series, and I definitely would recommend reading this book for yourself. If you are on the fence about picking it up, I definitely say still give it a go. You might absolutely love it. I just don't feel like this one was the best one in the series for me. So those are my thoughts on Oathbound, and that is my final reading update for this video. I was able to continue 4 series in this video. I was able to read the second book in the Nevernight Chronicle. I was able to read the 4th and final book in the Dirty Air series, so that series is completed for me. The second book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series, and the second and final book in the Nightborn duet, and then of course the third book in the Legendborn cycle, which is the final book that is out as of right now. And I feel like this vlog was pretty successful. I feel like overall I had some pretty decent reads. I'm happy that I was able to continue the series, and I will say this vlog did take me a little bit longer because some of the books in this did take me a little bit longer to read, but I'm happy to have read them. I'm happy they are off my physical TBR as well, so that's really nice, kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content from me. I will have all of my social media linked in the description. And if you have made it to this point in the video, leave the waffle emoji for Oathbound, because if you look in the setting, Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, there are some waffles here, and that does play a little part in this story. So leave the waffle emoji in the comments. Let me know that you made it to this point in the video. And with that being said, thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.